Hey guys, welcome back. Today is a little different one. I'm at a state park, but we're not going to do the typical state park Sunday because, I don't know, I don't want to. I'm enjoying a beautiful afternoon because me and the dogs, well, we had some cabin fever. Right, boys? So we jumped in the truck and we drove about an hour away from home to this beautiful place, Memphis. And today I want to talk about my 4,000-mile adventure this summer and spring, visiting almost 30 state parks and bringing them to you. My favorite ones, the ones I will definitely go back to, the ones I might not, and what the future holds and how I'm going to get this done. So I think me and the dogs are going to walk a little more because if you couldn't tell, it's a little hard to walk two 90-pound dogs while you're trying to use a GoPro. I mean, for me, it's hard to walk with a GoPro anyway, so I'm gonna find a good spot to tie them up, grab a park bench, and we're gonna go through everything, so see you in a second. Okay guys, we found us a nice park bench for us to sit at and have a little chat and talk about, yeah, this crazy thing I did this summer, right, Goose? Goose wants to be in the shot. Okay, buddy. So this summer, I had said, I believe on my first State Park Sunday video, I had said that my goal was to hit every single Nebraska State Park, historical park, and state recreation area in 2025. It was a lofty goal even then, and I'm still dead set on it. What it ended up, where we're at right now is I've traveled to 30 some of them. I've recorded videos, and you've seen videos for 25. I think I lumped two of them together, so you've seen 25 videos, completed videos. So, and that has taken me, I did the math when I was at home. If I mapped it, because I kept a spreadsheet. By the way, this is my dog Goose, if you haven't met him already, and Goose loves attention. His brother Bronco's being very good, but Goose, he loves his hugs. And that has taken me, because I kind of kept a spreadsheet, and I did, Google Maps, and I'd go through once I got home. 3,739 miles. However, that was Google Maps, mapping the direct route. It was funny because I was doing the last long trip I did, which was out west at the end of July. And I Google mapped it. It was like just under 1,200 miles. It was like 1,170. And I was like, I put it on the spreadsheet at 1,200. And I'm like, hey, wait a second. I got a video clip from when I got home from that trip. I think it was more than that. And I might play that clip just now, but so you guys remember when I said it was gonna be 1,300 miles? Yep, 1,309.1. Oof. Yeah, it was 1,309 miles. So it's just Nebraska. So basically, I'm gonna put a map up on the screen right now. If you take everything, the entire state, north of Interstate 80, those are all the parks I've covered. I missed two. But we'll get to that in a minute. I did miss two in there. But everything, I've been to the entire state north of Interstate 80. And let me summarize it for you. This has been one of the most amazing adventures that I've ever had. I am blown away with how fortunate I am to be able to do this. It really is. And by the way, I hope you guys are enjoying this beautiful view here on this cold November afternoon. And the astute among you will notice, go, hey, wait a second, that seems a little familiar. This was actually where I recorded the first video I published to YouTube. And it was also where I recorded the first video that I actually did really, really well. And that was that first Harbor Freight survival kit. And sometimes I come out here, actually this park holds a lot of meaning to me, Memphis does. I used to commute between Lincoln and Omaha, which are the two main cities in Nebraska, the big cities in Nebraska. And this park is kind of in the middle, and it's kind of a hidden gem. But there were a lot of times where I'd have a rough day, and I'd be stressed out, and I'd want to leave that at work. So I would come out here. Sometimes I'd come out here and just pull my truck out here, sit on the tailgate and look at the lake for a half hour, 15 minutes. Sometimes I'd grab a couple beers and have some buddies meet me out here. Or sometimes I'd grab a beer and I'd just park my truck, and I always carried a fishing rod and a tackle box with me, and I'd sit out here and fish. And that always this has always been one of those places where I've been able to come out and recenter. We've camped out here a few times. It's a beautiful, beautiful park. It's a hidden gem. But we're not doing a park review right now. We're talking about the adventure. Like I said, the adventure has been absolutely amazing. So if you take the entire state of Nebraska and you go everything north of Interstate 80, yeah, I've covered all of the parks, except for, like I said, I missed two. I missed the Ashfall Fossil Beds because it was closed the first time I went up there. And then there's a state park right around there that I missed. So I missed those two, so that I got to clean those up. So of the parks I've gone to, I've had a lot of people ask me this. What are my favorites? You know, what are my top three? I can tell you right now, it's impossible for me to do a top three. I couldn't tell you a top three because the top five is barely possible. I would say if I had to pick a top five, it would be Victoria Springs, Chadron, Keller Park and Long Pine. They're basically in the same area. I'd put them right beside each other. Merritt Reservoir and Smith Falls. Those really are right tied for that spot. And then Nebraska State Park. And then right on, like that honorable mentions that could slip in would be Cottonwood Lake. And I love that park because it's so remote and so desolate out there in the beautiful sandhills. It's like you're on it's amazing. It was so desolate, so remote. It would be such a peaceful place to camp. And like I said, that could get that right in there in that number 6, Lewis and Clark, right there. You know, because I love Lewis and Clark. I've been there so many times. In fact, first big trip I did, I spent the night there at the cabin camping with the dogs with these two guys. Right, boys? We went to the cabin. That was the first major trip I did. I think that was 600 miles or something like that. It was a lot. The dogs did great, didn't you, Bronco? So those would be my top 5. Those would be the ones that, like, easily, those are the ones I'm going back to as soon as I can, in that order. I've already talked to my fiance about us, you know, taking a weekend and going up to Chadron and kind of going off from there, because it's just, what I found through doing this is that I didn't know my state. I didn't know how absolutely beautiful Nebraska is. And I know anybody that's driven just across I-80 or I-29 is looking at me right now like, what? Or even 77 going, what are you talking about? Are you sure you're okay? I can assure you I'm fine. When you get off of those, it's a whole different world. I mean, you get out in the sandhills, and I remember there was a morning, and it still kind of takes my breath away. There was a morning that I was driving from Valentine to Merritt Reservoir, and I watched a thunderstorm roll in over the sandhills, and it just was. It was humbling and jaw-dropping and beautiful. And I remember that later in that, I don't think it was that same day, maybe it was the next day, driving between Cottonwood Lake and getting back towards home. I had a cough, sorry, I'm back. Driving between there and getting back home, there was a highway that went through the sandhills and went down through the Niobrara Valley. And there was no cell coverage. I think it was a half an hour. I didn't have any sort of cell coverage. I just had my satellite radio, to some classic rock, and had my dog with me. And I remember coming over the hill into the Niobrara Valley, and I said out loud, "Holy shit!" I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was just the most jaw-dropping. You could have told somebody they were not in, they were in Colorado or Idaho or somewhere else, and they would have believed you if they wouldn't have believed you. That anybody that's been on I-80, if I'd have blindfolded them and took them down that, they wouldn't have believed me if I'd have told them they were in Nebraska. But really what I wanted to try to do with all this, and the whole reason that this came about, is I wanted to get you guys outside. Because I was having this conversation with some friends today, and I was saying, for me, if I don't get out to a park like this once a week, I can tell. I start getting owly, and it just recharges me. And I wanted to share that. I wanted to share these places that are available. Now we're in off-season rates. You can camp here for $10 a night at this particular park. I believe it's an off-season. It's beautiful. It's nice out here. I've camped out here in the winter, and my tent was right there 2 years ago when I first did a diesel heater. and it was fantastic. It was amazing. But I want to share these places so that you can go, okay, hey, I can get there. You know, I can go ahead and me and my kid can take our tent, we can throw it in a truck, and we can go. But that's the whole reason I wanted to do it, and that's what I wanted to share these places so that somebody that's on the fence, that they're looking and they're going, you know, I want to plan a vacation. I want to go out to Smith Falls, but I don't necessarily want to camp at Smith Falls. Maybe I want to see all these other ones. You can go, oh, wow, holy moly. Or maybe you're going up to the Black Hills and, you know, you're thinking about going straight to Rapid City or whatever, or Custer or somewhere up there and getting a hotel. Poor Bronco. He just knocked something over on the side here. You can watch that video of Shadron and go, oh my gosh, that is amazing. And that's right there. I could, you know, get the cabin in Shadron and, you know, hop off to the Black Hills and have an awesome adventure. That's what I want. I want you guys to get outside and to protect these places. But really, I've learned so much. And the whole thing about this is I wanted you to get there. I wanted to share the outdoors. That's my whole thing with my channel. Share the outdoors, get you guys outside, get you guys enjoying something like this where it's, I mean, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's cold. Me and the boys I could sit inside and I could have cracked some beers and started putting football games on, you know, and hung out or continued doing my, my YouTube business work. But I decided, I said, hey boys, let's get in the truck, and now they're wrestling on the ground. You can see them behind me. Let's get in the truck and go for a ride. Now, what does this mean for the future? If you're going, okay, wait a second, oh, and by the way, everything has changed. That last video that you saw from Kickapoo Valley Reserve in Wisconsin, that kind of changed everything for me, because I edited it and I was sitting there looking at it, and so many times like I had before, I'm like, gosh, I wish I'd have more time to hike and do this and do that, but I didn't. You know, I was pressed for time. Every one of these videos have been like that, where I've gone back, like these places like Victoria Springs, Shadron, Niobrara, Keller Park. I've gone back and I've watched those videos going, man, I wish I'd had some time to just spend a day there and hike around. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, and that's what this whole video is about, is that sometimes you get curveballs and you gotta adapt. So I remember at the beginning of this, I had said, you know, I got to really get this done before end of October, because that's when, if you can see behind me, the trees are starting to lose their leaves. Some of them over there are just absolutely gorgeous. But we got about another week before the trees are going to not have any more leaves, and, you know, it's going to get really cold, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't know how much time this would take. I obviously way underestimated the mileage. I think idiot me at the beginning said 3,500. That's 5,000. When I'm done with this, it's under 10,000, I'll be shocked. And like I said, that 4,000 doesn't count going to Wisconsin, because I was already going there. So you add that on, we're already well over 5,000. What I discovered was there were so many times that I went back and I looked at that footage and I went, I wish I had spent more time. I wish I had done this differently. So, like I said, sometimes life changes, and it happened to me twice during this. You know, I didn't predict. I mentioned this on live stream, but I had one of my adult kids, they had a medical thing happen in June, and that pretty much, I was focused on that for a month. I didn't get any trips done, didn't edit any video. I mean, it was pretty much focused on that for a month. So there was that, but then I got back into it. I'm like, okay, I might be able to finish this up. I might be able to get all these videos done. I don't think I can make another trip after the end of July, because the other thing is 4,000 miles. My truck is a 2020 F-150. It's got a 3.5 EcoBoost for any new truck guys. So it gets decent mileage for a truck, but what I found on these trips is I average about 19.5 miles to the gallon, because there's a lot of driving slow through the park, and it is running literally the entire day while I'm doing this. I usually don't shut it off, because I get out and do stuff. I'm leaving it running because, you know, I'm in a remote area. I don't want to risk it starting to not start. By the way, if you see me moving my hands around, it's because it's cold. My hands are cold. And we're about to wrap this up. But what I found was, you know, number one, the amount of time and the amount. So if you can do the math, 4,000 miles divided by 19.5 miles to the gallon, it's a lot of fuel. I got very lucky this year in a couple ways, but one was, anyway, I got very lucky this year in that I have a very, very good job that I can take time off from. I had a bunch of Delta Sky miles, thanks to American Express, that I could use for hotel rooms. I think I spent 5 nights in hotels and 1 in a cabin, something like that. And then, you know, I don't commute anymore, so I work from home. So, you know, the money I would have spent this summer commuting, you know, went to gas, but it still was a lot. Which brings it all around. About a month and a half ago, mid-September, late September, I decided that I was going to sell my house. I've lived in my house for it'll be 17 years in January. I've owned it, and my kids grew up there, so, you know, raised a couple teenagers. It's fine, but it was a house for a younger man with kids. If you know, a split level, you go up the stairs, you go up or down the stairs to do anything. My knees are bad. I'm not getting any younger. I'll be 50 in a year and a half, or a year and 3 months. So I got to start thinking about the future and thinking about what I want. And I've always wanted a different house. And this way, you know, I sell that house, and I'll have the next one paid off by the time I'm 65 with a very small mortgage, because I was very lucky in that, you know, I've lived in a city that has the cost of homes have increased. So I made that decision. Now, that's a 50-50 decision because, again, I've raised a couple teenagers there. I need to recarpet, paint, and dogs, big dogs. I've always had big dogs. Recarpet, paint, do flooring, do all this stuff. I have a solid 6 months of work ahead of me, and a solid 6 months of work that are going to come out of my pocket. So it's a mix between, I can't really afford any other trips for a while. I mean, I could, but I can't, because any money that I don't spend on the house is money I lose when I try to sell it, or time I lose. So that's my number one. Number two is the time commitment. Like today, I honestly should be working on the house. I really should. Should be doing something. I wanted to start painting, but probably won't start painting until Monday. But and if any of you guys have priced paint lately, it's really insane. It's for good stuff. It's like $40, $50 a gallon. So where that all leaves me is, for now, I don't know about State Park Sundays. For now, they're on hold. I need to, because it was originally my plan was, once I decided to sell the house, I said, you know what? I'm just going to go out and I'm going to do a couple trips around Lincoln and Omaha, and I'm going to get all these done. But I don't know, there's something about it just didn't feel right. I could do that. I could fill up content for you. That's number one. Number two, I alluded to it already, and this is the biggest one, is after the Kickapoo Valley one, I've had so many times where I've gone, I wish I would have spent more time there. I wish I'd have hiked. I wish I'd have done more, like enjoy the park more. And that's what I have to figure out, is how do I do that instead of just driving through quick? Because just for you at home, and again, I've mentioned this on live streams, and I know a lot of you haven't watched that, but for each one of these park videos, to do a park like Memphis is a small park. I would tell you right now, just the driving out here, which is close to home, driving out here and recording it would be about 3 hours. About an hour and a half. A small park is about an hour to hour and a half. Just driving through it once or twice, getting the camera set up on the truck, getting that all set up, getting everything tested, you know, hour to 2 hours. Let's say hour to 2 hours. It's actually, I always say that, but it's generally more like 2 hours per park. And then drive time on top of that. So you're up there. And then editing something takes forever, because I am weird about it. I want these to look as best as they can. I want to show the state. I want to show this beauty. So I sit there and I color grade and I do all that other stuff. Editing can take 8 to 10 hours, 12 hours. A park like this, this park would probably be 20 to 30 minutes maybe. And I bet you it would take me 12 to 14 hours to edit. So there's that. And then there's parks like Lake McConaughey, which that park took me an entire afternoon to record. So it was about 4 to 5 hours. And then when I edited it, it took a solid week of every evening after work sitting there editing. It was a lot of work. So there's that. Hi, buddy. These Broncos, his dad, I want to go for a walk. So we're going to wrap it up here. But basically what I'm saying is I just don't have time right now, and I don't want to produce something that that is the same old, same old. I want to get back to trying to explore these places more, trying to spend more time. I am so beyond thankful for every one of you that has watched these. I said to myself, if each one of these gets 100 views, I'll be ecstatic. The State Park Sundays playlist, before I left home, I checked, it was almost at 5,000 views, which is just staggering to me. Still can't give you. I know Outdoor Boys puts out something and he gets 2 million views in an hour or something. But to me, just a small content creator here in little old Nebraska, 5,000 views is amazing. And it tells me that many people saw our state parks. It's awesome. It really makes me happy. But really what I'm getting at, boys, and I'm going to stop rambling, is that I'm going to take a little break from the state park videos for now. It is still, I'm going to get the rest done. I just don't know when. I got to get this house ready to go. I got to get my house done. Work is getting a little busier, so there's that. And the holidays are coming up, so I just can't. Right now, it's up in the air, and plus, it's not really a good time to be recording parks. What do you guys find over there? Come here. This is the real world. All right, this isn't Hollywood. This is YouTube. Hi, dogs. Dogs, get out of there. Okay, we're back. The dogs are having a field day. They're finding stuff to get into. But anyway, what I'm getting at is this has been the most amazing adventure I've had in a summer. I can't tell you how many fun things I was thinking about on the way here. From the small town gas stations where you stop and you can still buy a big bag of fresh popcorn for the popcorn machine for $1, to the wonderful people you meet just talking out there with this wonderful state park employees. I have had so many that I've talked to and they've been amazing. To the things you've seen, the small town, just the small town feel of the state. It is really the best. It's the best place I've ever been. I love it. We have great people. I haven't had a bad interaction, really. And it's just been an amazing, amazing trip. And I'm so glad that you all came with me. And I'm looking down, and this is now over 20 minutes, and I can't believe I've talked that long. But at the end of the day, this has been an amazing trip, and it will be done. It's not going to be done in 25, and it's probably not going to be done in 26, just because there are 72 park locations. So even if I hit it right away, there's 52 weeks in a year. I wouldn't be able to get it done. I'd probably be pretty close next year, but we'll see what happens. But I'm committed to having it done and having every single park out there. I just have to figure out how to do it differently so I can actually enjoy them. I can actually go out and hike them. So that's where I'm at. I thank you all so much for watching every one of these videos. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, what do you want to see in future state park videos, put them down there. Let me know. I'm totally open to it. If you're from Game and Parks, I would love to talk to you. I would love to get permission for drone flight, because that's one reason I haven't done many drone flights, is because it's prohibited above Nebraska State Park lands, and I'm a stickler for the rules. I'm not gonna do that. I've flown outside of the boundaries, like on some of the videos you've seen some shots. I'd love to get permission for that. I'd love to get permission to, record some of the inside of some of these cabins that we have. Like you guys saw that one, Lewis and Clark, with the dogs. It was an amazing cabin, and it was cheaper than a hotel room. I had such a great night there with these guys. So I'd love to get more of that. So if you're with Game and Parks, hit me up. Email's down in the description. And also down in the description, if you're new here, please like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. It really helps me out, because the more exposure these videos get, it just does better, and it brings more people out to these parks. Also, while you're down in the description, my 2 dogs, Goose and Bronco, actually all 3 of our dogs, their sisters is at home. They're all rescue dogs. And they're just the most fantastic dogs I've ever had. I've linked some shelters in the southeastern Nebraska and Kansas area where these 2 guys came from, and one of my other dogs came from, that would love your help, be it your money, time, or even adopting a new best friend. But really, if you have your own animal shelter, just go there, meet some dogs, give them a new home. You'll have the best animal you ever had. These guys really are the best, and they've gone with me through all this stuff. Like Goose rode with me. Goose, we've done like these guys have been with for some like 12 or 14-hour days in the truck while we've been doing these videos. It's crazy. They're such good dogs. So please consider that. But until next time, I'm going to shut up. I am cold. Like, if you want to see my hands are red. They're cold. I'm cold. I'm going to jump back in the truck. We're going to go hit the store, go home, make some soup. I think we're going to watch some Husker football. So I will see you guys again next time. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again.